Good morning, students. How are you all? Today your topic is about living things and their environment. And this is from your Unit 3, Lesson 3.1, Adaptations, page 39. And your homework for today is going to be Science Worksheet 4 and question number 1 to 4 from the course book and the copybook. The topic for today is plants adaptations. How have plants adapted to survive? The learning objectives are to explain how plants have adapted to survive in different environments, to identify at least 3 plant adaptations, and explain how these adaptations help animals survive in different environments. See here, you see different types of habitats. There's forests and there's deserts. Do you think the plants that are in the forest can live in the deserts? And do you think the plants in the desert can live in the forest? No. Why? Why do plants adapt? Why do plants change so that they can live in different habitats? This is the question of today. Plants have adaptations to help them live and grow in different areas. These adaptations make it very difficult for the plant to survive. This explains why certain plants are found in one area but not in the other. For example, you won't see a cactus living in the Arctic, nor would you see a lot of tall trees living in the grasslands. So it's different. You won't find water plants living in the rainforest. What do plants really need? They need sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, the right temperature and protection, and to be able to reproduce. These are all the things that they live. Carbon dioxide is normally available in the air, and plants take it in for photosynthesis. Do you remember about photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is a process by which plants make their food. They take in carbon dioxide, they take in water from the roots, and they make their own food and they give out oxygen. Plants also need sunshine to do photosynthesis. Some plants get sunshine very nicely in deserts, but in rainforests when there is a lot of plants, so sunshine is not available. So these plants adapt, and you will be seeing how they adapt. Desert adaptations. As you can see from these two pictures, one is of a cactus and another is of a desert plant, aloe vera. Small leaves or spines on the desert plants, they are there. They conserve water. That means they save water. Deserts don't have rainfall, so the plants need to have maximum amount of water they can hold. Their skin is also waxy, and sometimes the roots are really on the surface, on the top of the soil. So as soon as it rains, they take in all the water and they keep it in their body. Hair or spines help the shade of the plant so that it does not lose much water. Some desert plants, like you can see a picture of this aloe vera, they have leaves and some have stems. But the aloe vera, it does have only leaves. It doesn't have very prominent stems. Cactuses have stems, but they don't have leaves. So when you cut the cactus open or you cut the leaf of an aloe vera open, you see that it contains slimy thing inside. It's like water. This water, this slime helps the plant to live in the desert for a long time without water, without rainfall. Again, you can see a picture of a cactus. It has a small area, so there is less amount of evaporation from its body. There is no leaves, there are spines. These spines are not allowing the water to evaporate from the plant. The stems, they can store water. When we cut it open, as I told before, it stores water. They have two types of roots. Sometimes some cactuses have deep roots inside the soil which they can take in water from down, and sometimes they have widespread roots, means roots which are spread on very top layer of the soil, so they can absorb the water from all the top layer whenever it rains. Do you remember about grassland? As I told you, grasslands don't receive too much rainfall, it becomes like a rainforest, and it doesn't receive less of rainfall, it becomes like a desert. It's in the middle. It's in the middle of a desert and a rainforest or a forest. And their plants are there. They are having very flexible stems so they can bend in the wind. They have very narrow leaves so they don't lose the water. and they have deep roots which allow them to take the water from the ground. As you can see, in water adaptations, I've shown you two types of plants, water lilies and cattails. These are two different types of aquatic plants or plants found in water. In this cattails, you can see the stems are very flexible. They can move with the water. In case of water lilies, you can see the leaves are spread on the water surface. So these leaves help to absorb maximum amount of water, and you can see the leaves are having a waxy layer on it, so it does not get too wet. Mountain adaptations. If you remember, mountains are the places which are the most difficult to live in. It's very cold during that time. In that habitat, the animals that live there, they also find it difficulty to walk. So the trees and the plants that are there, they're also of two types. First of all, they have thick bark. That means the outer layer of the stem is very thick, so it does not allow the water to evaporate. Second of all, some plants, they lose leaves in the winter so that they can save water. And some plants are there, some trees are so tall and they're green even in the winters. They are called as evergreen trees or conifers because of the seeds that they have can stay and survive in the mountain adaptations easily. These trees that are found in mountains have long deep roots which help them to stand in the ground easily. Plants in the polar region. Now, if you remember about the polar regions, where are they present? They are present in the Arctic and the Antarctic, where it's always almost in the winters below freezing point, and in the summers it's still zero. So, and it's mostly covered with ice. So how do plants survive there? The plants that are there are called as tundra plants. These plants are low growing, that means they are not that tall, and they grow together in clusters, that means joined together in groups, so that they can bear the harsh winter. Now comes the most interesting part. If you remember about the rainforest, I told you there are many different types of plants, tall trees, tall small shrubs, and different types of plants that live in the rainforest. Maximum amount of different types of trees and plants you find in the rainforest. What adaptations can you see here? What adaptations can you see here? And the last one, buttress roots. These roots are found in tall trees in rainforest. Let's read. There are so many trees in rainforest that shorter trees and plants live under the shade of taller species. In order to reach the sunlight, some trees grow extremely tall. But the tall trees are very unstable. They have roots called as buttress roots, and these roots are those which sit above the soil, and they absorb the water from the top of the soil. They are not deep within the ground. Drip, trip leaves. As the name tells you, these leaves have a specific shape. They are shaped so that it does not collect water on them. They are shaped so that if the water falls on them, it falls off completely. It starts dripping down. And this is why does it happen in rainforest trees? Because the leaves don't want the water to stay on them and get spoiled or have fungus growth on it. That is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them into drip tip leaves. Lianas. The lianas are supposed to be plants which have very strong roots, but they don't have very strong stems. They use these vines to climb over other trees and then they reach the sunlight. So they need support to climb up and get the sunlight they need. They are called as lianas. Epiphytes. Epiphytes are plants which are growing on other plants, but they don't spoil them. They grow on them, they get the sunlight they need, they collect the water they need from the rain, they take the nutrients from the air, but only when they start growing too big, they start damaging the plant on which they grow. Otherwise, they don't damage the plant. They don't take anything from the plant it grows on, except for support. Now, what do you think Bromeliads is? Bromeliad is a tall tree. It's a small plant. It's a flower. Where is it found? It's found near the surface of the ground, and obviously it's not a tall tree and it's not a flower. It's actually a plant, and the leaves of the plant are shaped such like that it forms a cup. So whenever it rains, it takes the water in from and stores it and takes the nutrients from the ground, and it forms its photosynthesis and has food for itself. Mangroves. Mangroves are found in rainforests, but we do also have mangroves here in the UAE. They are found in places where there's a lot of salty water. Their roots are allow them to go in the sand and in the water, in the mud and the water actually. And their roots act like filter. They take in the water and they remove, let the salt remain out. If in case they take in too much of salt, the leaves start falling off. They live near the edge of the rainforest and other places to allow them to get sunlight. Pitcher plants. Now this is a very interesting type of plant. Do you think it makes food by photosynthesis only, or it makes something else? Isn't it colorful? It is very colorful. It does make food by photosynthesis. It is near the surface of the ground, near the rainforest, but it has another way of eating. Let's see it. The pitcher plant has developed a unique way to source nutrients. The soil in the rainforest can be nutrient poor because there are so many plants there that it's not enough for all the plants. So some plants have developed a different way of eating. So what do pitcher plants do? The pitcher plant uses its brightly colored leaves and nectar to attract insects. The insects, sometimes small animals, even frogs, you have tree frogs in rainforest, fall into the bowl of the plant where they get trapped and they get dissolved by the poisonous liquid that is formed by the plant. Such plants are called as carnivorous plants or meat-eating plants or insect-eating plants. These are called as pitcher plants.
Hello friends, today we'll learn about plant adaptations. Let's start learning about adaptations in plants. See this tomato plant? Ah, an insect is here. But this plant has both physical and chemical defenses ready to fight. It releases some compounds that can send a signal to other similar plants. And they also start releasing their own insect repellent. Adaptations are exclusive features that allow a plant or animal to live in a particular place or habitat. These adaptations might make it very crucial for the plant to survive in a different place. That is why few plants are found in one particular area, but not in another area. Yeah, this is perfect for understanding. The bark covers the tree trunks. It is very hard and tough to chew. All the leaves are protected with a cuticle that's waxy. Some plant leaves have a sharp thorn-like structure on their surface, which discourages small insects and even humans. Spinach, kiwi fruit, pineapple, etc. produces microscopic needle-shaped crystals, or raphides, which may cause tiny wounds, and thus predators get frightened off. Some plants have different structures for their self-defense. They have prickles, thorns, and spines. Ah, here's the lovely Rafflesia, one of the biggest and smelliest plants in the world. It wafts the smell of rotting carcasses while in bloom, all in hopes of alluring the insects to pollinate it. Let's see adaptations of plants in different regions. Plant adaptations in water. There are various floating plants like water lily, lotus, duckweed, etc., with floating leaves in which chlorophyll is restricted only to the top surface. Underwater leaves and stems help plants to move with the current. Plant adaptations in the desert. These desert plants have small leaves and many spines which benefit them for water conservation. There are leafless plants that store water in their stems. Roots are close to the soil surfaces that soak up water before it evaporates. Plant adaptations in the grasslands. Grassland plants have spreading root systems that allow them moisture and strength. Most of the plants have long needle-like leaves that don't require much water. The grasses grow from the bottom and develop close to the ground. Plant adaptations in the temperate forests. Such forests have harsh winters and see 4 distinct types of weather. Wildflowers grow in the forest during the spring. Most big trees here have broad bark to protect them. Plant adaptations in the tropical rainforest. The plants here have waxy surfaces on leaves to shed the extra water. Plants have prop roots that help support them in the shallow soils. Most of the trees grow so tall because the taller the tree, the more light its leaves will receive. Now, you know a lot about plant adaptations. Bye-bye.
Now once you have finished doing your work, click a picture of it, go to your Horizon account, and then on Communicate, attach your photo and write your name and class and send it to me. Thank you, have a nice day and stay safe.